Welcome to the Adoption Lounge. I'm Amanda.
And I am Katie. Thank you so much for being with us today. So, I know it's not Halloween anymore, but I wanted to bring everyone's attention to what Amanda wants to put me through tomorrow night, which is to go to a very scary movie live in the theater where I can't get away.
I love scary movies and I make Katie love them too.
I mean, she makes me go to them too. I don't know if I love them, but I'm really excited. We're going to go see The Heretic, not to plug anything, but I'm excited because Hugh Grant is in it, and I don't know if he's ever done a horror movie
I don't
before.
think he has. I'm actually really excited. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, so if I'm not with the podcast next week, it's because I've been murdered in the movie theater where it's most likely to happen.
I would never let that happen.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm scared.
Katie and I just cover our eyes most of the time anyways.
Really do. Like the whole time. You know, for safety.
Watch it through our fingers.
Because it's not happening. It's not happening if I don't visually see it happen.
Yes, I agree.
It's safer. It's safety.
Something not scary
Yes.
that we're going to do is talk to Lindsay today.
Yes. Yes, we're very excited to talk to Lindsay, one of our families that adopted through Lifelong.
Yeah, we're going to hear a little bit about her story. Let her introduce herself. So Lindsay,
welcome.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay. I'm out of Texas, so that's where I'm at.
I was actually born in Texas. I was born in Houston.
Okay. The weather here is crazy, 80 and raining.
I would love that.
Can't relate. Yeah, it is really cold here.
Yeah.
But it is rainy. It's been kind of rainy here, I feel like, but...
Yeah, it has been rainy.
Yeah, that's pretty warm though. Isn't it kind of warm?
It's pretty, yeah, it's really humid. We would like some cold weather, please.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
I'll switch you.
Thank you. Okay.
So we wanted you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe kind of walk us through what led you to adoption.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Texas. I've always lived here. I was an educator for 11 years. I was a coach, so that was kind of my why, was coaching. Always knew I wanted to have a family, just wasn't sure if I wanted to actually deliver a child. Went back and forth through that a lot. And then I met my now spouse. So we were actually planning our wedding during the adoption process. So our process was very, very stressful for those reasons because we had so much on our plate.
Yeah.
All good, but just a lot at one time, I think. Don't recommend that probably. But it all worked out in the end. And so we ended up getting married in November. So we're about to have our 2 year, November of 2022. And our now son was born January of 2023.
Oh my gosh.
So it was boom, boom, boom. And
yeah, it was.
That's kind of exciting though.
It was exciting because it was a different state. So yeah, do you want me to kind of say why we went with Lifelong? Is that okay?
That'd be great, yeah.
I have a wife, and we went through, not several, we just looked, the little Google search, like adoption agencies, what's the process? And what we were coming up with was a bunch of places that only catered to like a male and a female. And obviously that wasn't going to work for us. But besides that, what me in particular, really loved about Lifelong was that y'all catered to single parents. I think that's so special because I have so many friends who they don't really want to have a spouse, and they are fantastic and they would be a great parent. But a lot of these other places don't even give them the opportunity because it's just them. And so for me, that was really, really, really important that I did see the profiles with single parents looking to adopt. And that was it made my heart really happy. And it was kind of like, all right, well, I feel like this is the right choice. And it was funny, we were going through with the agency, and we actually have some friends who adopted, and through the process found out that they went through Lifelong also. And so it was so crazy.
Oh
So
my
we had no
gosh.
idea. Yeah.
That's so fun though. I think that's really exciting. And then you have someone to kind of talk about the process with from a much more specific place.
Yeah, not only did they adopt, but
yeah.
They had a crazy experience, but yes, it was really, really
I'll have to get them on.
Yeah. It was great, but it was really great to have someone who had been through it. I had a few people who were fostering at the time in my life, but completely different situation. You can talk and you can kind of have the same feelings, but completely different rules, completely different laws, completely different just
Oh,
experience all
yeah. So take us through your journey. Like, what was your thoughts as you were starting your journey with Lifelong?
I'm a very non-emotional human, like at all. I'm not, or maybe I have all the emotion. I don't cry a lot. I'm not, I look like I have a tough exterior, but really I'm kind of like mushy on the inside. Just no one knows that.
Oh, I can be that. I can be that way too. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So the lady that we were with, I don't know if she's even still with you guys, Jamie. She was with Lifelong and she was our lady. And from day one, she kind of was like, hey, it'd be really good to journal. If you aren't into journaling, maybe journal your process. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I'm so glad now that I did because I have like year and a half worth of journaling from
Oh,
the very
wow.
beginning to where we got the phone call like you've been selected to okay, you really weren't chosen by this mom and that's okay. You were selected, but you weren't. So just those up and down roller coaster rides. I think that for my parents in particular, I think adoption was very out of nowhere for them. They were like, "What?" And so we didn't really have them to maybe talk to about it because I don't think they understood and I'd never talked to them about it and to begin with. So for me to say like, I think that we want to adopt, it was just kind of like, what? Like that's really? And so I think changing their mindset of maybe what they had planned in their future or what that would look like raising a family changed. I mean, and now like, oh my gosh, they come and take our kid all the time because they love him so much. But I think that process was a little bit out of nowhere, out in left field for them. But yeah, so we got a few different calls. The very first call we ever got was a 3-month-old, and she was in the hospital on a breathing machine. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think this is our kid." It was a girl. I just thought we were gonna get a girl. I don't know why. I was so excited. Then she ended up picking another family, which happens. And I think that I was listening to one on here. That wasn't your kid. That was somebody else's child, and I full-heartedly believed that. But in that moment, it was kind of really sad, because you think that you form this crazy connection that's really hard to explain to anybody else who hasn't ever been through the process that this could potentially be my child. I wonder what they're going to be like. I wonder what they're going to look like. I want to start decorating a room. It's a girl. Ah. And then, when that, fell through for us, it was a little bit while longer until we got another call. So it just kind of felt like the days are so fast with a baby, but then I felt like every day was like 2 days in one, because you're just looking at your phone like, am I getting a call? Am I getting a message? I answered so many scam calls, probably in those 2 years.
Just in case. Oh.
I didn't want to miss out on anything.
Oh yeah.
And I am really bad at like, I don't know, detecting if something's off, like I just think everyone's great and everything's happy and everything's perfect, where my wife is a police officer. And so she's like, it doesn't really work like that.
She's like skeptical of everything.
It's not really like that all the time. And so we got connected with a lady and I was all for it. And it was during COVID and she was like, I don't leave my home. Like nothing, and she had a husband pass away in that time period.
Oh.
And I know, so it was really sad, really sensitive. And they paired us together because they thought, like, you're so bubbly, like, I think it will help, meet in the middle. And I think it was like the total opposite. I think I was maybe too much. I don't know. But anyways, I was listening to some of the podcasts, and for me, it's really hard not to have that communication with the birth mom. And sometimes they want it, and that's totally okay, like knowing those boundaries. But that was really hard for me because I just wanted to talk about it and I wanted to know how she was feeling. And like, on the other side, she could have been so sad and not wanted to talk about it at all. But yeah, so then we got this call with, my son's name is Bennett. We got a call from his mom, or we got connected with his mom, and she's actually out of California, which was an interesting trip too. And so then we got connected with her. Before she had Bennett, my wife actually met her for like breakfast one day. She was like driving through Texas.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so they got to meet up for breakfast, and she has another child, and she was with her. His birth mom has another child. And so they got to kind of meet and had a good talk, and then she got, I guess she called us one day in January and was like, "Hey, I'm in labor." I was like, "So now,
Surprise.
yeah, booking a flight from Texas to California in 24 hours is not the cheapest thing to do." It was intense, like knowing how to pack and like, I don't know what to do. And so then we flew out to California that day, and we actually got to be in the delivery room when he was born, which was
Oh,
yeah, it was super sweet of her and like extremely special. So I'm glad that she gave us that opportunity to have that moment because it was really nice.
how did your wife feel when she met her for the first time at breakfast? I mean, how did that go?
I just don't know like what all I can say about the birth mom. Like I don't know what I can and can't say.
Just whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, she was going through some stuff, like drug related things, and
Hmm.
so that was really the big reason why my wife wanted to meet her because she is an officer and just wanted to like visually see like
Mm.
how maybe bad it was or not bad it was.
Hmm.
And she was very like happy that it wasn't like on this like scale of things like really bad.
Hmm.
And so I think for her it was like that peace of mind, like, okay, like maybe he will be born okay and it won't be in his system. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think for her it was more of like a peace of mind, like, okay, like it's not like in her mind she's thinking worst case and I'm like, no, it's great. And so I think for her seeing it, it was really helpful for her mind to not think so worst case scenario,
Hmm.
which was good.
I think that's really common with law enforcement. They tend to kind of worst case scenario things just because of all the things that they've seen
Yeah,
in their job, which I
yeah,
Sure.
understand.
for sure.
So, what about you? What was it like for you kind of arriving at the hospital?
So when we flew in, I don't know if y'all remember here in Texas 2 years ago when we had that massive freeze.
Hmm.
Well, that was this time. So we flew out to California and we couldn't get home because of the freeze.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because no
And
one was
everybody
at
lost power too,
I
right?
remember
right.
that.
Yeah.
So no one was at work. So all the paperwork that had to be done wasn't getting done because no one was there, right? Nobody's
Hmm.
fault. We get there and it's beautiful there. We go to the hospital and she's like, "Oh, well, it's not going to happen today." And I'm like, "Okay, I mean, do you need anything?" So when we were there, we found out that 3 weeks prior to her giving birth, she had checked into I guess a treatment center, I don't know what they're called, like not rehab, but sort of,
Hmm.
because she has another child. She knew she would be clean when she would deliver him. So and it was connected to the hospital. So that was good.
Hmm.
Um, and so when he was born, like thank God her nor him had anything in their system. Like, for her sake too. Like I want that for her. I want her to be okay and happy. And um, so getting there, I think she had him 2 days after we were there. We got a call. Hey, I think it's happening. It broke our water, and so we showed up over there, and we got our own room. I guess in California they have like a law that pays for like everything for I don't know the laws, but they had something, and all she had to do was okay it, and we were able to get our own room. So we actually stayed there as well. Like I couldn't leave because I had the little monitor on my wrist too. And so she gave birth and she was really back and forth on if she wanted to hold him or not. And she did. And I'm glad that she got to experience that. It was really scary in that moment when she held him. I might cry. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Don't ever apologize
I
for it.
know, because she wasn't a crier either. She was very tough, and she got pretty sad, and it kind of just like broke my heart that you're doing something so amazing for me and it's like hurting you so badly. So that was hard to like witness because it's like I obviously want him to be my child, but at the same time, if in that moment if she was able to take care of him, like as hard as it would have been, like I would have wanted that because that's like as a female, as a mom, as a woman, I would want that woman to be able to care for her child if she had the means and was able to.
Hmm.
She wasn't. So I can't imagine that feeling in that moment for her too, to like go into a hospital, deliver a baby, and leave without the child. That's gotta be like incredibly hard and sad. But she was like, okay, I'm done. And then she handed him back, and then they gave him to me. And then we went back into the back room, and they let me do like skin to skin contact with him. And then they did all the things with him. And then he stayed in our room like the whole time. which I didn't know that's how it worked. You see it in movies and they're in like the baby unit in a so that's what I assumed. I didn't think he was,
Right.
but no, he was with us the whole time. And then our experience was a little bit unique because like CPS was there when he was born, and they like came into our room and they were like, "Hey, we're with CPS," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, did I like say something that is like making her painted in a bad light? Like that was not my intentions." And they were like, "No, no, no." He was like, "I was her caseworker before with her first child, and we just needed to make sure like everything went smoothly."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it was just really scary, all the things that happened so quickly. But yeah, so, and then after that, trying to find a doctor and everything, and like California and Texas couldn't be any more different. And so it was just really difficult trying to figure out, are we supposed to use our insurance? And they were saying, no, use the mom's insurance because the baby's on mom's insurance for a certain amount of time. And it was just, I think
Mm-hmm.
the hospital we were at, it was a county hospital. And I think it was just something that they have never like had to experience. And so they didn't
It's
like
always fun when
any,
everyone's learning together.
Yes.
they really did. And it was a learning hospital too, which was, there was like 6 or 7 nurses in there when Bennett was born, because they were all like not interns but kind of, they were learning also. So I thought that was really cool, like, but they didn't know a lot of the answers, so we had to call like people back in Texas and like people from Lifelong. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help.
Help me.
Please. Yeah, but no, he was great. He was healthy. He didn't have any drugs in his system. She was very honest about the things she used and what she did. So we knew ahead of time. And if she ever had a relapse, like she told us, it wasn't like a surprise if there was going to be something in his system. But I'm super grateful that there wasn't. He was just like 3 weeks early, that's so fine. But
Yeah, just a little
everything
peanut.
just, and he was a little guy too.
What was
But
it
yeah,
like meeting him for the first time?
it was really weird. I think I had the hospital, all of that was like so surreal. It's like you almost black out. I don't really remember it all. Because I put this wall up without realizing it that she was going to change her mind. And I'm sure that that happens a lot. But I mean, it probably took me up to 3 months maybe until I really felt that bond with him, because I was so afraid that we were going to lose him. And in my
Yeah.
mind, I was like, how am I going to deal with that? Because I love
Right.
this human so much that I couldn't imagine getting that phone call of like, okay, well, she's changed her mind. Um, so when we
That
finally got
actually makes sense to me though, because you said that you like to keep your emotions really close to your chest. I think I'd be the exact same way. And you're
yeah,
so terrified,
so scared.
when you finally open your heart that it's going to be a mistake.
I
So you
know.
just wait.
And he was
So,
so perfect, he was such a good
yeah.
baby. And when we finally got the phone call that, like, okay, their rights have been terminated, no dad came to the picture, like, I was just like, okay, so is there, and I probably sent Jamie and then the same email 4 times, like, is there any way that he can be like taken away? And they're like, no,
Oh.
like, he is your baby now. And I was like, any way at all? Like, no, like, well, like, y'all are like all angels who have to deal with people in their like worst and best times. So meeting him for the first time, it was crazy because I got to hold him, and I'd never seen a baby be born either. Straight up in there. I mean, I was in her legs. I know.
Straight up in there.
That was
I know
probably a
it
fun
was.
experience.
That was probably
It,
so
it
cool.
Yeah.
was. It was so cool, um, to see a baby be born and for them to be okay after that experience, for the birth mom to just be like, I'm good. Like, what? To my brain, how are you okay? Do we need to get some more blood in you? What's happening? But he was so good. I mean, I think realizing that you're a parent, like that took a long time.
Hmm.
Or, they're like, they give you a bottle that's this size and they're like, only feed him half. And you're like, is that enough? Like, should we feed him more than that? You know what you're talking about. I don't. But I think just learning or coming home and being like, we're parents. Isn't that crazy to say? And it
Hmm.
was crazy to say. From day one, we had him in his own room. He never slept with us, which people are like, what? I'm like, I didn't want to go through the not getting him out of my bed situation. This kid, he sleeps 11 hours a day, man. He is a sleeping dude. And he has been that way since we got him. When he got him home, he was
That's
5, 6
amazing.
hours. I know. I was like making sure he was breathing, eats everything. Like he's so cool. He was a great baby. So everyone's like, oh, just wait. He's gonna be a really crazy toddler. And I'm like, I hope not.
Well, that's the beauty though. He's your only child, so you have nothing to compare it to.
Right? He's just perfect.
Yeah, my sister didn't know her toddler was crazy until she had another one, and then she's like, "Oh,
Like,
the first one was a lot of work."
They always say the first one though is like the one that tricks you. They're usually perfect, and then
Yeah.
the second one is like
Not my sister. The second one came.
4 years.
I know.
Hey, but you know what?
She's so brave.
okay, yeah. She wanted
So
to try
Lindsay,
again.
you had said that you went through a few disruptions, right? You had like 2 opportunities before Bennett's mom. What did you do to get through that? I know it was probably difficult.
Yeah, how did
It
you kind of
wasn't.
turn around and move forward?
Yeah, and it seemed like from the next one to the next one, it seemed like a really long time until we got another call, you know. I think just again journaling, and I was preparing for a wedding, so I did have something to like take my mind off of it. But I mean to say it was difficult. I don't even know how to explain. I don't know. It was just I think that was going on. My cat, who was like my shadow, my child, passed away. And so it was just like a lot of little things and I think that might have happened in preparation for Bennett because I had so much love for that cat, like the jealousy. Like that's how I have to get like through that one because then Bennett came like literally a month later. Like we got married November 19th, my cat passed away December 19th, and then Bennett was born January 29th. It was boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
Yeah,
Aw.
and then my birthday's in December, my wife's birthday's in October. So the end of the year is a rough one for us. But I think just knowing too, like Lifelong does a good job, you know, making sure like if you need anything, reach out. Like please reach out to us. Like we are here. The emails I sent, I bet they were probably like, this girl. But, I think I just talked to Jamie a lot about things and like how to move through it and like just the constant, you know, like there's going to be more opportunity. Just be patient. And I'm going to tell you something about me. Patience is the least of my personality trait. It is at the
Same.
bottom. I want something, I want it now. So I think that helped me develop a little bit of patience because like there's literally nothing you can do. Like I am not in control in the situation at all. Like you're just there and it was like um I reached out and we had some issues with like some family members. They were like in our profile and then they saw it and they were like, "We didn't give you permission to put our picture on that." And I was like, "What?" So then we had to like change that all up. It just seemed like so silly. And I get it. I didn't ask, but I didn't know I had to. And they're just not, I don't want to say they're not supportive of my marriage, but they're not supportive of that lifestyle. Let me say that. They love my wife and they love my family. But I was like, it's not a wedding portfolio. Like I don't know what we're trying to promote here, but it was just like a Christmas picture with like my whole family, and they're like, we don't want to be in that. And so we had to change that up. And I think that there was just a lot of little things that happened in between the things that didn't. I was also a coach. So I had my kids and my athletes that I had to, you know, make sure that I was focused on as well because this wasn't their life. This wasn't their journey. And so trying to be there for them. And even on those days when you're like crazy sad. And then one of the ladies I worked with had a miscarriage. And so trying to be there for her, it was just like a lot, you know, but I think that in a good way. There was a lot on my plate to keep my mind off the thing that was mattering the most. You know what I mean? Like if that was the only thing on my plate, I don't think that I would have been okay. But because there was so much other things going on, that was helpful.
So tell us what life has been like post-adoption.
So I still, every now and then, I'll still hear from his birth mom, which I'm totally fine with. We didn't have a closed adoption. It was like semi-open, and he's gonna know. We're not gonna keep it from him. It is gonna be something. We read these little like books about like little rabbit families with a deer baby, you know, and like he has no
Dinosaur
idea.
Train cartoon. That's a good one.
Yeah. What's it called?
Family.
Dinosaur Train.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The
'Cause they have
pterodactyl family that adopts a little,
the
I believe,
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so funny. So he's been great. I stay home with him. I actually quit teaching in order to be with him because I know that we aren't going to have any other children. And so I don't want to miss anything. So that's been weird being at home, like going from a job that's super active to being at home, which is now really active because he'll be 2 in January. But I don't know. I think that I have grandparents and she has grandparents who are in their upper 80s. And I feel like the timing of him has been something that they really needed to not still be here, but to be happy that I don't know.
Yeah.
But they just have had some health problems. And I think that because of Bennett, it's been really helpful because he's the next one and like the grandkid or the great grandkid is 9. And then the rest are about to graduate high school. And so he's the only baby in the family right
The
now.
baby.
And I'm the baby. So it's like the baby's baby. It's like, oh, he's the golden boy, you know.
Oh.
But no, that's been great. We've just started kind of looking into daycare.
Oh gosh.
He needs it. He needs to be around little kids because he doesn't really he just played with like his first kid his age, like actual played with them this past week. He always wants to be with teenagers. He always gravitates towards bigger kids because they're playing sports or they're being like a little more aggressive because he is just like all boy.
Oh, how does first play date go?
It was good. They were just smacking each other with balloons, you know? Like, we were at a baby
Perfect.
shower. Yeah, we were at a baby shower.
That doesn't surprise me.
Such a
I have
quality
all
game.
boys, so like that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The balloon sack, though, it's a quality game. No one gets hurt. You know.
That's true. It's true. It's a safe.
The only issue was who gets which balloon, you know, and that was fine. I think first I was worried that maybe he's gonna have some developmental delays, or maybe he was smaller. He was never on the chart for a really long time. Still at that 0% mark, and I was like, cool. I was like, he knows everything. I don't know, but now he's where he's supposed to be. In comprehension, it's crazy how much he comprehends. He's so smart when it comes to that. But if it's just me and him, we'll talk all day. I get him around people, and I'm like, say this. He's like,
Of
He's
course.
like, I've never spoken a word in my life. I don't know
like,
why you're
great.
putting me on the
It's a
spot.
gift every kid has to make you look like you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, say cat, please. And he's like, no.
Like he's
Like-
never
Like,
said
I
the
don't
word
even know.
before.
I don't even know what a cat is.
Yeah.
And his best
He's like,
friend is
make
a
me.
cat. He lives with us. Yeah, we have a cat, and he loves him. Terrified of our dogs still. I don't know why we have 2 dogs, and I was like, you want to help me feed him? No. Mm-mm.
Well,
Yeah.
at least he's honest. He
I
knows
know.
what he wants.
Setting
I know.
boundaries.
Yeah. And I guess it's been it's good now, but it was hard at first because my wife she works nights. So I'm kind of
Oh,
home
that's
alone.
hard.
Yeah, I'm by myself with him, and then when she gets home at 7 in the morning, she goes to bed. So on half of the week, pretty much, I'm like a single parent, which shout out to those women who do that with more than one kid. They are something amazing because I do it half the time with one, and I'm like, I just
Yeah.
want to go to the bathroom alone. I just
Right.
want-
No, seriously. My husband and I have a very similar schedule. And it's like when they walk through the door, you just want to throw this baby at them because you're like, this has been my life
Your turn.
for 10
Your
hours
turn,
straight
Kat.
or longer, but you're tired from work. It's not a great system.
No, and I'll say, he needs his diaper change. It's your day. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Your day. 'Cause she's
We're
home.
keeping count and it's your day.
Yeah, I've done 75 this week. It's your turn.
Right.
But no, he's been great. I mean, my parents absolutely love it. It's been fun this year because he understands more than last year. Like Halloween, we dressed him up as a chicken, and he was like, whatever.
Whatever.
Knew nothing about Halloween. His birthday, he just was face it first into the cake, so that was great. But this year, we have this.
That's what I do on my birthday, too.
That's what I
Me
want to
too,
do on my
yeah.
birthday.
And he'll do stuff sometimes, and I'll look at my wife, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you live with 2 of us now, because he literally.
But also, you're welcome.
I know. Yeah. It's just crazy because I guess my mindset was always genetics will take over, but he is carbon copy of my personality, and it's crazy.
I
mean,
love that for you guys.
yeah, I'm like, because people don't know it like outside of my home, but I'm weird and like goofy, and I love it. And my kid is the exact same. I mean, he'll just sit there and he'll just start dancing. I'm like, where did he learn that? And my wife is like, you? That's what you do? Like, oh no, I gotta work on that. But no, he's been
Imagine you're just like, gosh, why do you like that? And you're like, that's literally
yeah,
you.
yeah, she's gonna start filming me and be like, there it is, there that
Right?
movement. And then people will ask like, who's he closer with? And most of the time, me, it's been really sweet the last like few months, him getting closer with her. Because I think he realizes like, okay, like she's just not here when I'm awake. It's not that she doesn't want to hang out with me. It's she's like
Mhm.
literally not home. So I have to like take him back there and be like, Mom's not here. And he's like, he'll walk in the bedroom, Mom, Mom. And I'm like, she's not here. So I think he's kind of starting to get that a little bit more. And so their relationship has been really good the last several months, which has been, it was never bad. It just kind of, he didn't want her ever, which is a lot, which is really difficult when you're a stay-at-home parent and then that parent's finally home and they don't want them. You know, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so now we're trying to potty train. He eats on his own. He's just super independent, which is like what we wanted. But now that he is, it's like, oh, I think I messed up. I think I messed up. Want me again, please.
Well, Lindsay, what advice would you give to other adoptive parents going through this journey?
Yeah, for sure. I would say, and I know other people have said this about trusting the process, and just like being patient. And I think for me too, it was really hard because we also were on, I don't know exactly what the list is called, but kind of like the emergency list of, like you could get a call like, hey, like, we have this child that is ready. Would you be okay with adopting them? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, like
Yeah.
last minute
Yeah,
opportunities.
like last minute, like super, super fast. And so we were on that. And a lot of them are medically challenged children or they have a really different circumstance. And I think that when we talked to Jamie, you know, she was very upfront. If you don't think you can handle the situation, do not say yes. There will be another opportunity. And I think that hearing that, saying no is hard. Saying no to an opportunity is extremely, extremely hard because it feels like, okay, like I've been praying for this, I've wanted this, and here it is, and I'm saying no. Like it doesn't make sense in the brain, but we did have some calls that, or I guess they're emails actually, and
Are you talking
it's,
about situational emails?
yes,
Yes.
ma'am,
So
yeah,
where we reach out to ask your permission before presenting you because it's something outside of the preferences
Mhm.
typically.
yes,
So, special needs sometimes,
yes,
things like that. Okay,
yes,
yes. That's what
absolutely.
you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. And knowing that it is okay to say no in that situation, or even like a regular situation, as
Yeah.
hard as that may be. Because we had a situation come up and I was all in, and Whitney was like, Lindsay, we both have full-time jobs. This kid is going to need full-time around the clock care that we cannot provide right now.
Mhm.
And that one was really hard for me because for some reason I just felt so attached to that email. And she was right that there was no way that I could provide or she could provide what that child was going to need, not only then, but probably long term for the rest of their life. So knowing that saying no or that maybe doesn't work for us is okay. And also, I think at the very beginning, when we go through all the questionnaire process and like your preference sheet, it's hard. It's so hard to make this preference list over a human. You know, it's not hard to do it over an
Mhm.
animal or a bedroom color or how you want to decorate. But when it comes to these questions about your potential child and saying, no, I don't think that I'd be okay with this, it kind of like gut checks you a little bit of like,
Yeah.
does that mean like I'm a bad human or do I just want that child to look more like me than, and which
Yeah.
is totally okay. All of those questions are important, but they are hard to answer. And I can only imagine, luckily, me and Whitney were on the same page about all of them. But there are some where I could imagine with a family, you could be totally torn on what you want versus what your
Oh,
spouse may
sure.
want.
Yeah. Well, and I always say too, like, it's a responsibility thing to everybody because in this situation, what we're really trying to prevent doing is putting your profile in front of a vulnerable pregnant woman who
Yeah.
is reading through it and thinking this family potentially wants to adopt, my baby. And
Yep.
so we don't want to then have her fall in love with your profile, call you with an opportunity, and have you turn it down. Obviously, you're allowed to, but we'd like
Right.
to do our best to avoid it if
Make sure.
possible
Yeah.
because of the vulnerable situation she's in. So
Yeah.
I always tell families, I know preferences can feel very strange, but you have to just
Mhm.
think of it as a responsible way to prevent being in a situation that you're
Yeah.
not comfortable with.
No, that's a really great way to word that because that's so true. With our birth mother, she was like, I've always wanted to be an officer, so I was drawn to that. And she was
Oh,
like,
that's cute.
I know, and
I
she
love
was
that
like,
because a lot of our law enforcement officers are actually afraid that people will be less likely to choose them because of their
yeah,
profession. So that's
yeah,
really cute. I like that.
I know. And she's always wanted to be a surrogate. That was something that was very important to
Aw.
her. And she was like, there was a time in my life where, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be here anymore. And then, her doing the drugs that she did do, she was never able to be a candidate to do that. So she kind of looked at it as this. She's actually pregnant again right now. She just reached out to me about a month ago and said, like, I'm doing great. I just wanted to tell you I'm pregnant again and we're really excited and her daughter's
Oh,
excited. So that was really sweet. And it stinks because for me, I'm so happy obviously for her, but at the same time I'm thinking about my child and I'm like, he now has 4 potential siblings. And like, what do I do with that in the future? Like I don't know what that looks like in the future. Another not knowing thing, if he ever wants to meet them and they're okay with it, then great. But he's got this pool of siblings that he may never know about.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm adopted myself and I actually have some half siblings. So if you ever want to talk about it,
Yeah,
probably off camera, but I'd be happy to talk to you about what that's been like for me
yeah,
growing up and as an
absolutely.
adult.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't want to keep anything from him at all. But then you don't know, did she text me because her expectations are she wants them to meet? I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that would be something that I'd ever be against. We don't live close, so it's not like it would be a weekend thing every weekend.
Right.
But, I think sometimes after the fact, everything's kind of settled down, then knowing kind of like next steps or like future, and everyone does it differently, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. I
Yeah.
think that I was talking to somebody because they adopted, and I was like, "What's the hardest thing that you've gone through?" And she was like, okay, my son obviously knew. He was a little bit older. We got into a fight and he said something along the lines of like, well, you're not even my real mom. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine those words coming out of his
Really
mouth.
hard. People
And
bring that up to me all the time. They're like, I just don't want my child to say that. And I was like, well, as an adopted child, I will tell you that was my favorite ammunition to use during my
yeah,
teenage years against my poor, poor, very wonderful mother because kids are terrible. Like teenagers are mean.
Well, I said it to my mom. I just said, I wish you weren't my real mom. So, I
right?
mean, it's going to
Yes.
happen to you
Oh,
either way.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, I got to say it for real.
I wish I
I
had
know,
Tiffany's mom.
right? It's just like it crushed everything inside of me. Like I've been there since day one. I am your mom. Like, but she was like, so just be prepared for that
Yeah,
because it
we're
will
sorry. I'm
happen.
sorry. On behalf of all adopted kids everywhere,
Yeah.
we're sorry.
Um,
We
I'll
don't mean it.
probably,
You're just our safe place. You're the person we can
yeah.
unleash those hormones on most directly.
Yeah.
And she was very honest and she said, and I said, what did you do? And she was like, no, I sat him down and I said, listen, you're right. I am not that person. She kind of just like talked about what she said and I was like, okay, I'm not prepared for that yet, but at least she had a conversation. She chose the high road. God bless her, but she chose the high road and had a conversation. Please do not ever say that to me again because these will be the consequences. And okay, boundaries, I love that. But yeah, not ready for that sentence at all.
And I'm sure, I think it's a really hard situation to be put in. I can't remember how my mom handled it. I'm sure sometimes we're more graceful than others because I definitely did it more than once. But, I think it's one of those things that when you have a teenager, we're all just doing our best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, agreed for sure.
It seems like you're doing a great job so far.
Yes. I'm sure
Thanks.
he will love you and be kind to you
Do y'all
forever.
want to meet him?
Yes.
We would
Oh
love
my gosh.
that.
Where's Bennett?
He's right
I can hear
here.
his little voice in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I love it.
he's right here. 1 second.
He's so cute.
Thanks.
I'm going to set an expectation. I expect all future interviewers to show me their kids.
Honestly, why hasn't it happened yet?
Right?
Is this our fault?
This is our fault.
The anticipation.
I
The
know.
build up.
I know. I love that the birth mom picked them because she kind of always wanted to.
I'm going to tell every
I
police
know,
officer that now
that's
because they
so
always
cute.
worry about it.
Oh my gosh, she's
Can
like,
you tell him hi?
you.
Say hi. Say hi.
With his
Look at
little
him.
haircut.
Look at him. He's like, I have never spoken the word
Lindsay,
hi in
you
my
know
life.
he's not going to say hi.
He's not gonna say hi.
We
Look at him.
talked
Say
about that.
hi. Wave at them. Tell them hi.
Oh, it was my.
How did
Can
we
blow
get
them
so
a kiss?
lucky?
Blow them kisses.
Oh my god, it was so
Well, what a doll.
My favorite is like, oh, your son looks just like you. I'm like, that's crazy.
Oh, I get that all the time. It was like always a private joke with my mom and I. We
Yeah,
were
well,
like,
he has brown eyes and mine are blue, so I'm like, eh.
Other
You know, people
than
just-
the eyes.
Oh, do you want to show him your kitty?
He's like, I
now?
have stuff to show them.
That's what he's doing. He wants to show you all his mask.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
is that from Halloween?
Nope, just a kitty.
Just for fun? Awesome.
Can you tell them what the kitty says? Meow. You tell him? No. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, we really appreciate you sharing your story and sharing Bennett with us.
Yes.
And
Thank you
Must
so
not know
much.
Yeah,
Take
no, I
the
really
camera.
appreciate you guys having me on and getting to meet this guy. He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool.
oh, he's
You tell
so
them-
cool.
Mwah.
You
No.
send us off?
Can you tell them bye-bye? Tell them bye-bye. Bye.
Oh, bye. Oh my goodness gracious.
Mwah. Mwah.
So cute. Oh my God.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Adorable
Absolutely.
family.
Thank you guys so much. Tell them bye. Bye.
All right, bye guys. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I'm so
Well, now I want a baby, so
I know, right?
I want a Bennett too.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I love meeting with these families. I feel like every story has been just a little bit different
I know.
and special, and I
You
definitely
must know how she's feeling too. You got to be a stay-at-home mom to your kids.
I loved
Was
being
it hard when they started to leave and go off to school?
No.
Well, you had more than one. And you're just
No.
like-
You know what's the saddest part is I think the last one, and realizing that like these are like your last
Last
first
hurrah.
times.
Yeah.
And then you're like, gosh, I never stopped to
Elliot.
think about like when was the last like time I tucked them in, or
Yeah.
I still try to tuck my 13-year-old in, and he's like, okay, mom, good night.
Yeah, but he's Mason.
But no, being a stay-at-home mom was great. I feel like that's just time that you can never get back. And I was like, I can always go back to work. And well, here I am, obviously.
Here you are,
Here I am.
sharing yourself with us.
Yes.
Okay, well next week I think we'll hopefully have another great episode for everybody.
Yeah.
Other than that, hopefully everyone's enjoying their fall and we'll see you soon.